touches me every day because as prosecutor, I have domestic violence cases in front of me on a daily basis.
After seeing the makeup, how does it make you feel to see yourself portrayed as a victim?
It sort of sickens me to think that someone that I love would do this to me. I mean, it literally makes my stomach hurt, makes my heart beat, makes my hands sweat. It's scary.
What message do you have for victims of domestic violence?
That there is a life without it, and there are resources to get to that life, and there are ways to live without this being a reality in your life, and you just have to reach out to it.
Personally, I grew up in a home there wasn't domestic violence when I took this job nearly 12 years ago. It took me a while to figure out domestic violence, what sort of effect it had not only on the victim, but the children of the victim and how it affected it had on homes. I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to live in a home where there's domestic violence, domestic battery. I a lot of times say the victims that we find, the victims we know, it's the victims that we don't know about that really bother me. And that's why, like I said, we urge them to come forward. We'll help. We have the resources. We have the people that's willing to help. And I couldn't even imagine going through what I see here tonight. We see firsthand, we see broken bones, we see more than black eyes, we see broken noses, and just on and on and on, and sometimes it even ends up in death. We certainly don't want that in our county. We'd like to move forward and make the situation better for the victims.
I was fortunate enough to not grow up in a house that had domestic violence involved in it, but I have had a friend who had domestic violence in her house for a couple of years. Her parents would get in fights, and then she would try to stop them, and she would get involved in it, and her dad had thrown knives at one point, plates, and different things like that. And she just struggled with it every day, and she would talk to me about it all the time, and it's an awful thing to watch somebody go through.
Well, personally, I lived across the street from a fighting couple, and it would ruin my sleep every night when they would come out and be cursing and yelling at each other. She would be weeping, and he would return to the home, and she'd eventually drive off with a deal of rubber. It was very upsetting, even though I didn't know these people. It definitely affected me and upset me. Professionally, every day I deal with domestic violence victims, the children of people who are engaged in domestic violence, because I do child protective service work, so I try to make sure the children are safe even if the parents are going to continue to engage in this. They're better than that. They can go and get help. There are people who are willing to show them ways that they can get out of the economic bondage that usually makes them stay victims of domestic violence, and everyone is worthwhile. We need to stand up for each other and make sure that we're safe and realize there are other ways to resolve differences than by beating on each other.